Great day, everyone. Welcome to a new day of learning. To start with, let's put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Dear Lord and Father of all, thank you for today. Thank you for your ways in which you provide for us all. For your protection and love, we thank you. Help us to focus our hearts and minds now on what we are about to learn. Inspire us by your Holy Spirit as we listen and write. Guide us with your eternal light as we discover more about the world around us. We ask all this in the name of Jesus. Amen. Once again, good day, everyone. And to start with, let us have our most essential learning competencies. So we have discussed risk and protective factors in substance use and abuse. And for our learning objectives, we have number 1, discuss the risk and protective factors in substance use, abuse, and drug dependence. Number 2, analyze situations for the use and non-use of psychoactive substances. Number 3, state personal opinions. And number 4, perform differentiated activities about preventing drug use and abuse. But before we proceed to our lesson, we're going to have a short game. Are you ready? Game on! The title of our game is Name It to Win It. Do you know this activity? If you don't, let me explain. So all you have to do is to guess the word by adding the pictures. You will add 2 or more pictures or letters, or either subtract letters or subtract pictures to identify our missing word. Okay? So first and foremost, we're going to have a trial. So for now, we're going to have our trial so that you will identify how or determine how to play this game. Okay? So I have here picture number 1 minus letter E plus picture number 2 minus H. So you're going to guess the word or the picture itself, what is the picture, and then deduct the letter, and then add with another picture, and then again also deduct the letter, and then you're going to determine what is the word we are looking for. Okay? So for this picture, we have picture number 1. I'll be giving you time below. You have 10 seconds to guess the word. So we have the timer at the bottom part of our screen. After 10 seconds, I will reveal the answer. Okay, so the answer is factor. Okay, why factor? Okay, so we have picture number 1, which is face minus letter E, so that is FAC, plus the picture of Thor minus H, combine it together, that is factor. Okay, are you ready to play? Do you know how to play the game? Okay, so let's move on. Okay, let's start with our first item. But take note, every time our item is getting harder and harder. Okay? So all you have to do is within 10 seconds you have to guess what is the word that we are looking for. Okay? So we have the first one, first picture. First picture plus second picture minus MET. Timer starts now. Okay, time's up. Okay, the answer is personal. How did it become personal? Let's find out. So, image number 1 plus image number 2. The image number 1 is person, and the image number 2 is metal minus MET. So, it equals to personal. Okay, we have number 2. image number 1 minus D plus image number 2 minus B. Okay, timer starts now. Okay, time's up. Okay, let's identify the word. The answer is friends. Okay, how do we come up with friends? Okay, picture number 1 is fried minus letter D plus bend, image number 2 minus B. It is equivalent to or equals to friend. Okay, let's move on to the third item. Okay, picture number 1 minus letter R plus picture number 2. Timer starts now. Okay, time's up. So what's the answer? So the answer is family. Okay? Family. How do we come up with, or how did we come up with the word family? Okay? Picture number 1, which is farm minus R plus the picture number 2, which is ILY, is equivalent to the family. Okay, let's proceed to the next item. Okay, I guess this is so. Okay, we have letter S plus picture number 2 minus letters AIN plus picture number 2 minus letter P. Okay, your timer starts now. Okay, time's up. So what is your answer, or what is our answer? The correct answer is school. Okay, correct. It's school. Okay, how do we come up with the school? We have letter S plus picture number 2 chain minus letters AIN plus full minus letter P. It becomes school. Okay, we will come up to the hardest part of the game. So the last part, we have picture number 1 minus letter B plus letter M plus picture number 2 minus picture number 3 plus letters T and Y. Okay, your timer starts now. Okay, time's up. So let's identify the word. The correct answer is, okay, community. Okay, how do we come up with the community? Okay, so the first item is a comb minus letter B plus letter M plus unicorn minus the picture of the corn plus TY, that is community. And for that case, what does those words pertain to? What do you think are those words are we referring to? What are those words are all about? Okay, so you're going to write your answers at the back of your activity sheets, or you can give your answers in any blank paper if you don't have additional paper. Okay, your answer is correct. So the following are the domains of life which affect drug use and abuse. And what are those domains of life? So domains of life, you also discuss this in your health aid. Okay, so we have the personal, family, peer and friends, school, and the community. And you can see their graph. So for now, let us identify what is a risk and what is protective. So what do we mean by the word risk? So let's take it word for word. What do we mean by the word risk? Okay? as you can see in the picture, what do you think is the word risk? What is it referring for or referring to? Okay, correct. How about the word how about the word protective? What does the word protective refers to or pertaining to? Okay, let us dissect the word so that we can identify what does it mean. So the root word of the word protective is protect. So which means that it will, like its symbol, it will shield you or protect you or will guard you in any situation. It will protect you or guide you or guard you in any situations. Okay? So we're going to discuss the risk and the protective factors for drug use and abuse. So we're going to discuss the risk and protective factors for drug use and abuse, as well as how is it related to the domains of life which affects the drug use and abuse. Okay, let's start. Before we proceed to our discussion, let's have our learning task. So all you have to do is to write an essay about how teenagers prevent or avoid drug use and abuse. Write the activity on a bond paper and limit your word essay to 50 to 100 words. So it should be in English. Okay? So the rubrics for this essay is number 1, focus and details. Number 2, word choice. Number 3 criteria is the organization of ideas. And number 4 is the sentence structure. We have the grammar, spelling, and so on and so forth for a total of 20 points. Okay, let's start. So the first one is personal or the early aggressive behavior. How do you think that personal or the early aggressive behavior affects or gives the risk factor in the usage of the drugs and the abuse of the drugs? So how does it become a risk factor? Okay, your answers are correct. Okay, so let us identify how does personal became a risk factor. Okay, so number 1, the use of drugs at an early age. So meaning when you were young, you are tempted to take drugs because of different factors. We might be curious, we might want to be along with others. Okay, number 2, risk-taking behavior. So as a teenager or as a youngsters, we are risk takers. So we can admit that. Okay, experimentation. So as youngsters, we are fond of experimenting. That's why we are tempted or somehow we are encouraged to take this substance and abuse it. Okay, next, poor social skills and interaction. So we have there the word poor. So it means that you have a weak interaction or you're not being socialized to other people. Next, we have the childhood problem. So this is one of the main reasons our children are now encountering. So if they are having problem with when they are young, okay. Then next one is the feeling of isolation when you are feeling alone. Okay, so now how are we going to protect ourselves with that? Okay, so versus self-control. So the protective factors, number 1, self-control behavior. Okay, we need to control ourselves from the word itself. Okay, number 2, good reasoning skills. For example, someone is inviting you to take some of these that you think are bad for your health. So you need how to decide well for your benefit. Then the next one is excellent social skills. So you need to socialize, you need to interact with other people. So it could be your family, your friends, your relatives, or someone that you could talk to. Okay, the next one is positive interaction with people. So from the word itself, positive, so it could be a good way in interacting with other people. The next one is the sense of belonging. So it means that you are not feeling alone. Okay, so let us proceed to the next one, which is the family. How do you think the family became a risk factor when it comes to the weak parental guidance? Okay, correct. So, number one, if your family has a history and patterns of drug use, for example, one of the family members, your brother or your parents, are you taking these drugs, so you are also think that this is right. So we have a saying before that na kung ano ang nakikita ng bata sa matanda ay tama. So that is one of the reasons why parental guidance is needed, as well as if we are watching televisions, there are always word there rated as PG or PG that will guide us in their programs. Number two, attitudes towards drug use. So you need to have a preventive attitude about this. But if your attitude is positive about taking drugs, of course you will try to take drugs. Number three, poor parenting and child rearing. So if your parents, let's for example, there are parents that are not so tight with the rules to their children. Of course, they have lacking support to that one. Number three is inconsistent family rules. So for example, you have a curfew at home. For example, at 6 p.m. you must be at home already. So for example, you came home late at 8 p.m. and they forgive you for several or consecutive times. So it means that you have inconsistent family rules. So that is just an example to set family rules. So the curfew is one of the example, but not most of the family. It depends upon their agreement. And of course, the last one is the poor family values. So if the family has a poor or weak family values, it affects the personality of the people living in the house, as well as if they have poor family ties or connection to each other, it comes a great risk. So how are we going to protect ourselves to this? Okay, so strong parental guidance. So our protective factors. Number one, good communication with people. So we need to have a good communication with people. Number two, positive family relationship. Positive family relationship. So we all know that once we have a positive family relationship, we are talking to each other, you are understanding each other. Next, clear and consistent family rules. So if the parents set the rules, so the children should follow it. Next, strong family values and positive expectation to child success in family, school, and community. So if when the parents sets examples to their children, it should be positive. So it's not just aim high. So it should be do good or to practice how to be a good human being and to perform well in the school, or so that is just an example. Okay, the next one is the peers and friends. So the substance use and abuse. So how do you think that our friends causes us the risk factors? Okay, so that's correct. Okay, so now let us identify what are the risk factors that is being caused by our peers and friends. So number one, association with peers and friends known to use gateway drugs. So we have a saying that the birds that flocks together stays together. So if we are joining some of our friends who are taking or using, for example, cigarettes and alcohol, so other people will think, even though that we are not doing it, they will also think that we are also one of them. We also drink alcohol and use cigarettes, and the worst is that you are using illegal drugs. Okay, the next one is preference to stay with peers and friends than with family. So let us admit that, for example, while we are in school, we almost spend our time 6 to 7 hours in the school, and then when we came home, we will just eat and then take a sleep, and then the other day you will go home again. So you spend a lot of time together with your friends. So that's why you are having too much influence from your friends. So how are we going to protect ourselves with our peers that causes the risk? Okay, so peers and friends versus this is versus academic excellence. So number one, association with peers and friends who do not use gateway drugs. So that is the opposite of the previous one. So we need to properly select our friends. There's no problem in being friends with, but you need to choose the friends that will teach you how to be a good person. Okay, number two, or the next one, is the formation of friendships. So you need to, we have mentioned a while ago, those socialization. So you need to socialize with the friends that will teach you good things. Next, reliance on friends for emotional support. So there are things that we cannot say to our family. That's why there are often times that we are giving our or asking for the opinions, or we're seeking for the opinions or the care of your friends. So the last one is you need to invite your friends at home so that your family members will know who you are joining with, or who you are together with. Okay, so the next one is the school. So availability of drugs. Although in our schools it isn't available. Okay, so how come that the school become a risk factors? Okay, that is correct. So let us identify how it becomes a risk factor. Okay, so number one is poor academic performance. So it triggers us when we are receiving low grades or failing grades. So it could tempt us to divert our attention in different things. So the next one is lack of commitment to studies. So if we are lacking attention or commitment to studies or studying, so of course it will also move to poor academic performance, as well as poor attendance in school. If sometimes or not or mostly you are tardy in attending classes, so it might affect it could be a risk factor. And the last thing is involvement in fights and conflicts. So this is one of the great factors. That's why we are having trouble inside the school. So now, how are we going to protect ourselves against these risk factors? Okay? Okay, your answers are correct. Okay? So the number one is good to excellent academic performance. So if you are performing well, it encourages you or to boost your attentiveness, your willingness, your eagerness to perform more. Number two, participation in extracurricular activities and school organizations. For example, physically active, you can join the athletes in performing different games. If you are skilled and talented, you can join MCT and other clubs. to boost your confidence, to boost your skills, to enhance your skills more, so that it will develop your innate skills, and then you're thinking of other things will be diverted to your skills, and then you will have the interest in attending classes. So the last one is the community. So how do you think the community became a risk factor? So the first one is easy access to gateway drugs. So if those prohibited drugs are easily or accessible to our community, so that is one of the reasons why we will be tempted, or we will be affected or encouraged to use those kinds of drugs. So the next one is poor community and organization and neighborhood relationship. So from the word itself, poor community and organization relationship. So it means that if your community is not interactive with each other, so it is one of the factors that may affect an individual to take or to use prohibited drugs. Okay, the next one is poor implementation of community laws. So if our government, our local government unit is poor in or weak in implementing those laws against drugs, so that is one of the factors that might affect the community to be involved in in using the prohibited drugs and abuse it. And then the last one is the negative attitudes which favor drug use. Okay, so how are we going to protect ourselves against the community risk factors? So for the community, so how do you think the community will become a protective factors for us in preventing the risk of drug abuse? So number one is strong community relationships. So we're talking about the relationship, the interaction with the community, the neighborhood, your ties together with your community. Then the next one is active and positive community programs, projects, and activities for the youth, because you know that the youths nowadays are very fragile with these kinds of activities. Then next one is the positive attitudes which combat drug use. So we need to have a positive attitude to combat, from the word itself combat, which means we need to fight against this. That's why the community is in cooperation with the school, wherein the school is strongly implementing the NDEP in the drug education program, so that it will be a partner as the stakeholder of the community to develop the awareness of the community with regards to the drug use and abuse. And lastly, strong community advocacy against. If the local government unit has a strong implementation of the laws, so it can prevent the utilization of those prohibited drugs, especially to the youngsters and to the people who are living in the community. Okay? Why is it important to study the risk and protective factors for drug use, misuse, abuse, and dependence? Okay? Okay, you can write your answers on the back of your learning activity sheets. And now we will proceed to our assimilation. You can rely or refer to our learning activity sheets. This is all about the risk and protective factors for drug use, misuse, abuse, and dependence. So all you have to do is to choose one from the domains of life. It could be a personal, school, peer or friends, community, and the family. And then you're going to choose your preferred performance from the following. So, for example, you choose friends. So you're going to create your activity out of the domains of life, which is friends. If you are artistically inclined, you can do the poster making. So in one illustration board, create a poster about your chosen domain of life. So for example, friend, showing its risk and protective factors. So you're going to create a poster about, for example, your chosen domain of life, which is friend, and then you're going to draw it in your, or you're going to create your poster in a 1/8 illustration board. And then for the rubrics of this activity, so the criteria for these rubrics are, so number one, we have creativity. Number two, we have originality. And then we have the content. And of course, the neatness of your illustration. The next one is poem making. So if you are fond of writing poems, so you can do this. So in a bond paper, create a poem about your chosen domain of life, showing its risk and protective factors. So for example, you've chosen the friend. So you're going to create a poem about the friend, so showing its risk and its protective factors. Okay? And for the rubrics of this activity, so we have number one is the focus and details. Number two, the word choice. Number three, the organization of ideas. And of course, the sentence and grammar. Okay? Then, if you are musically inclined, you can do the, okay, or you can perform jingle making. So make a jingle about your chosen domain of life, showing its risk and protective factors. And then you will record your song and submit your video to your teacher's messenger. So that's me at my messenger account. Rubrics for jingle makings are, so the rubrics for the jingle making are, number one is the lyrics, then followed by the melody of the song, then the presentation, and the overall presentation with a total of 20 points. So after doing your preferred performance, please answer the reflection by answering the following questions. Reflect on your performance from the previous task. So what do you think are your strengths and weaknesses or weakness in this task? Number two, how will you improve your weakness? So you can answer that at the back of your learning activity sheets. You can use additional sheets or bond paper or paper if it is needed. Okay, that would be all for today, everyone. So goodbye, class. So I hope you have learned something for our lesson for today. Take care and God bless. Stay home and stay safe.